All right, Alana, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. And now let's bring in Judge Andrew Napolitano, our senior judicial analyst, to weigh in on this. So the arraignment has happened. We don't have the perp walk, as they call it, the mugshot. What do you think about this? I mean, he's the first former FBI chief, first off, to be arraigned since former President Richard Nixon and L. Patrick Gray back in 1978, as far as making false statements, obstruction of justice. Gray's charges were dropped. We know that there is going to be a malicious prosecution defense here. Does this move forward? And is there just so much more we don't know as far as who they're talking to and the witnesses in their probe?
Well, Bianca, there's a lot we don't know. The government rushed to get this indictment in before the government was confronted with a statute of limitations bar and before it reviewed all of its own evidence. So when those government prosecutors this morning said to the judge, we're still going through our own documents, ordinarily that is unheard of. Ordinarily, the government has gone through all of their documents before they get the indictment and before the defendant is in the courtroom. So they don't know, and thus we don't know, the volume of what other evidence they may have. Here's their issue. They have to prove not that he misled Congress, but that he intended to deceive Congress. If he gave a silly answer or a slipshod answer or a slightly misleading answer, none of that is good enough under the way the Supreme Court has interpreted the statute. They have to prove intent. So they are probably interviewing people that spoke with him at the time he made these statements to see if those people can shed any light on what Jim Comey's intent was at the time he answered Senator Cruz's question.
It's tough to prove, right? All right. I want to talk about the breaking news, and thank you for that, Comey, latest there and your take on it. But we just had this major announcement. I mean, this investigation was pretty thorough. Bill Asaley, acting U.S. attorney in California, says they have the person they believe innocent until proven guilty, but they say he started a fire intentionally that blew up, that became the Palisades fire. We have 12 people dead. He's 29 years old, Judge Knapp. He's going to be arraigned. They say they have a terabyte of information, all the recreation, but also they talked about a ChatGPT image he generated with a burning city. That's, talk about intent, talk about that. This is a case where 12 people died. Again, immense property loss. What do you see as some of the charges and where this goes starting today as he faces a judge for the very first time?
Let me tell you that as a judge, I've tried many arson cases. I was very, very impressed with the statement made by the head of the ATF. These are very, very serious. They're as much scientists as they are investigators. They have a profound scientific understanding of how you trace back fires. I was very impressed with what he said, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of the evidence that'll come out at trial. This is what California calls aggravated arson, because there was the loss of human life and massive loss of private dwellings. Those two characteristics make it aggravated, which means if convicted, the penalty is life without possibility of parole.
We cannot undo the damage and destruction, according to the U.S. Attorney's statement, but we hope his arrest and the charges bring him some measure of justice to the victims. That is the suspect right there. This will also, no doubt, Judge, become political because there were questions about how the fire was fought. And we have a governor's race coming up in California, and we have the question of people who lost everything in the Palisades fire now see a suspect. But the justice, as far as them, is also how they'll never get back their loved ones, and those who lost property may never be able to rebuild. Give me about 20 seconds on, how this becomes also political when, some people are going to be looking at this as this should be follow the facts of the law, and you've seen that before.
The best thing that could happen here would be for his lawyers to be so overwhelmed with the evidence against them that he pleads guilty. If this goes to trial, I believe you're 100% correct. This will become political. Did Karen Bass, the mayor, know what she was doing? Did the head of the fire department know what she was doing? Did the head of the police know what he was doing? Did the governor interfere? Was there some sort of an effort here to make the president look bad? All of this stuff is going to be litigated. It would be better if he pleads guilty, begins his life in prison, and leave the rest of this to the political world. But if politics enters the courtroom, it's dangerous for all sides.
Judge Knapp, good to have you with us.
Sure.
People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.